So one of the confusing things that can happen when a relationship goes through a rocky patch is a partner can suddenly ask for space. And oftentimes that space is wrapped in this idea of working on themselves. And this can feel really confusing. It can feel a little bit worrying because it kind of raises questions of, why can't you do that with me? Why can't you do that in a relationship? Why do you need space? Why do you need to do that apart? So in today's video, I want to break down why a partner would ask for space to work on themselves, what it means, and why this can be a perfect opportunity to rebuild back the relationship in a really powerful way. I can completely understand this worry of a partner asking for space. It can feel really confusing. Sometimes it can come out of the blue. Sometimes it can come as part of a rocky patch where you kind of understand it, but you still don't see why it has to be space, why there has to be a big distance. But when it's coupled with this idea of they need to work on themselves, this can feel almost there's the potential for them to grow apart from the relationship. So I want to break down why a partner would ask for space to work on themselves, why it's not as scary as it may seem on the surface, and why this is not only important for the relationship, but also a perfect opportunity. So in this first part, I want to talk about why your partner wants to work on themselves. The first thing I want to say is it's not because they're broken. It's because they have realized the need to reconstruct the way that they approach things, especially in a relationship that is going through a rocky patch, or conversations have not been productive, or there's some hurt feelings there. When someone wants to work on themselves, this usually comes from the question of, who am I? And am I really handling these situations in the way that I want to? So this can come from a place of almost reconstructing their identity. So in a relationship, oftentimes who we are merges into a kind of a we. You become one with your partner oftentimes. And this can sometimes mean decisions are made only on behalf of the relationship rather than two individuals working together for a similar goal. So big compromises can happen, resentment can build up, and small things, what to eat, big things, where to live, how to spend time. Sometimes there can be this feeling of my whole identity is in this relationship and I don't know who I am as an individual anymore. And it can feel scary when looking at this, removing that and thinking, if that relationship wasn't there, who am I? And sometimes there can be this feeling of being left with a vacuum. So sometimes when a partner has this identity audit, they want to go away and rediscover what is important to them. What do they value when no one's watching? What are the non-negotiables? What are the things that I want? What are the things that I don't want? This identity audit is a really good thing. This stops your partner from sleepwalking into the same dynamic. It's building an identity and knowing what they want, what they don't want, and rebuilding themselves in a stronger way. And this can only benefit a relationship if it's approached in the right way. And I'll talk about that in a second. The second thing that usually happens when a partner is asking for space and wanting to rediscover who they are is building back emotional autonomy. So sometimes in a relationship, you can get into a habit of needing a partner to feel safe, to feel worthy, to feel calm. Now, this can feel like a good thing, especially if you watch Hollywood movies. It's like, well, I need this partner, otherwise I'm nothing. I need this partner to calm me down. But outsourcing emotional regulation onto somebody else is always unsustainable, because that person may not be around forever. They could be hit by a bus tomorrow. They could leave you, whatever it is. Having this realization that outsourcing your emotions and emotional regulation onto somebody else is unsustainable is a good thing, because it means that you can develop the skills and the tools to be able to take accountability for your own emotions, which means that you're not reliant and you're not asking other people to do that work for you. So the work is often learning how to self-soothe, how to sit with anxiety, how to understand your emotions, how to be present with your emotions and be able to regulate them without reaching for a distraction or putting that work onto somebody else. So this is a really good step because it creates emotional sovereignty, this ability to be able to be self-sustainable within your emotions. This can feel scary to people, sometimes to a partner, because the fear comes, well, what if they don't need me? What if they realize that they don't need me? But having a partner not need you, but want you, is a much stronger relationship, because it means that they are able to generate their own self-sustainability, but they're choosing to be with you rather than out of obligation. As an individual, when you know that you can survive your own darkest feelings, toughest times, when you know that you're able to survive them by yourself, then it means you stop making decisions out of fear and obligation and out of actual choice. And this is a really healthy thing to do. So if your partner is asked for space and they want to work on themselves, what do? The biggest mistake that people make is when their partner says that they want to go away and work on themselves, they react in a really pressurized way. They react with scarcity. They get clingy, they bargain, they hover, they kind of panic, thinking that they need to increase the presence of them to make sure that they're not forgotten about. The problem that comes from this is that this doesn't allow them the space to come to these realizations by themselves, and it actually reinforces this need for independence. So if you think about it this way, it's like, hey, I just want a second to think about who I am as an individual, and then someone's knocking on the door saying, hey, you done yet? Hey, what about now? You realize you still need me, right? You're still having that realization that you need me. It's like, oh, actually, I feel like I need more space now. So adding on pressure and trying to just hang around and be present reinforces this need for space. And this is what we talk about when we talk about leadership, leading in a relationship, being inspirational, leading by example, and building yourself up as a leader within a relationship to guide the relationship into a healthy space. This is the opposite of leadership. This is dependency. If you cannot be apart from them, or you cannot trust them to make informed decisions about themselves without you being there, then it shows that you don't trust your own value, but you also don't trust them to be able to make an informed decision by themselves. You're telling them, hey, you can't make this decision without me. And that's not leadership. That isn't giving them the autonomy to make that decision. And that actually creates more dependency, which is cultivating a really unhealthy dynamic. So that's what's ineffective. What is effective? The very first mindset is agreement, not resistance. So if you want to be a leader within a relationship, and again, I want to be clear that leadership in this situation is not about control. It's not about manipulation. It's not about becoming a dictator. A leader is someone leading by example, setting a good example and a healthy example, and building trust in a relationship. If you want to lead a relationship, a leader doesn't negotiate desire. If someone says that they need the space to grow, a leader acknowledges that reality immediately rather than trying to debate it. If your partner has the feeling that they want to go away and think about things, giving them the freedom and trust to be able to make those informed decisions is really important. So shifting away from a follower to a leader, a follower tries to fix it, tries to say, hey, we can work on this together. And this kind of disrespects your partner's stated need for autonomy. They said, I want autonomy right now, I want the freedom to make my own decision. And you're basically saying, no, you have to do it with me. But if you want to shift to a leader, this is about being able to validate the mission, the overall mission of, hey, we need to be able to have a sense of self, to be able to choose this relationship, to being able to respect it and understand and trust that the bigger picture is more important and that this decision in the short term is going to have a long-term benefit. And this is really powerful. So by agreeing with your partner, you're removing that friction. You're no longer an obstacle to your partner's growth. You are a supporter of it. You want your partner to grow. And you want your partner to want you to grow, because this is how the relationship moves forward. And this shows that you're secure enough to exist without your partner's validation. The next step is to grant the gift of the void. If your partner wants space, and this is the hardest part, the most crucial leadership move is when your partner says that they want space to work on themselves, give them the space to do that. So this is zero hovering, no low quality check-in text, no watching Instagram stories, no liking posts just to remind that you exist. You need to allow that space for them to come to their own conclusion. Now, this is not forcing no contact. I've actually done a deeper dive video on forcibly cutting off all contact with your partner during this time. I'll link to that video up above and in the description down below. But granting your partner that space, being able to say, what is the space that you need? What does that space look like to you? Being able to lean into that, asking what is your partner's expectations on that, and then being able to grant that. This is really important because if you're constantly texting support, then this removes the need for space. So if your partner wants support, asking and understanding what does support look like to you right now, fully understanding it, and then granting that. So for example, let's say your partner says, it means that I don't really want to text for the next month. I don't want any contact for the next month. Or I only really want texts about just the logical things right now. Being able to lean into that and saying, so if I'm understanding correctly, you're basically saying, let's only text about just the day in, day out logistics kind of thing. You know, I can completely understand that. The last thing that I would want in your shoes is to have me constantly like asking how you are. And I think old me would have done that. What I'm thinking, and let me know about what you think about this, is maybe after that month, have a catch up in a coffee. In the meantime, I want to make sure that I'm doing the same thing and that I'm working on myself so that we can have better conversations where you don't need space. That's what I think that I would really like to do, but let me know your thoughts. This way, you're validating your partner's need for space, but you're also making a similar commitment to be like, I would like to also be able to grow and make sure that I'm approaching things in a similar way. This way, you're promoting what we call parallel growth, which I'll talk about in just a second. The next thing that I just want to talk about is making sure that there is emotional containment. So during this time, you're likely to feel anxious, hurt, panicked. These are normal feelings. If you are wanting to lead a relationship through repair, a leader still feels these things. It's human, right? But doesn't leak them out onto the person who asked for space, basically. So when you interact, so for example, if you're talking about logistics and things like that, making sure that you are remaining calm, warm, and to the point. You're not cold, so you're not showing resentment or anger or dismissal, but you're not super eager and desperate, right? It's finding that balance of making sure that you are warm, pleasant, but keeping it to the point like you promised. This sends out the message that you are stable and that you respect their decision, and that also you are making sure that you are grounded in what you do. And this is really powerful because this starts to create this emotional safety that we talk about a lot on this channel. If your partner feels like you're falling apart, then this is going to put pressure on them, and maybe they'll feel guilty about it. They'll feel pity, and this kind of kills the attraction. If your partner sees that you're stable, then they'll feel respect. They'll feel like they have the space to be able to do the internal audit that they want to do and not have to worry about your emotional state. They don't feel like they have to put work in to calm your emotional state. And just before I jump onto the parallel growth point, this is exactly what I work on with all of my members, is making sure that you are being able to manage your emotions in a very powerful way so that it's not that you're not feeling them, but you're able to feel them, but still be able to take the effective action for the bigger picture. And this is really important when it comes to repairing a relationship, especially growing a relationship, is mastering your emotions in order to be able to lead the relationship into a healthy direction. And if you do want to start that journey too, then join my Relationship Bootcamp, where you'll learn the same fundamental steps that all of my members start with to start turning their relationships around and leading their relationships into a healthy direction. I'll drop a link in the description if you want to grab your spot. So the last step is parallel growth. So this is true leadership in a relationship. When your partner is asking for space to work on themselves, you cannot just sit around and wait on the sidelines. A leader continues the mission, right? So whilst your partner works on themselves, double down on your own purpose. So this is not to get someone back or to make them jealous, but to reestablish who you are as an independent person. You need to be able to self-sustain, just like your partner needs to be able to self-sustain in order to build a healthy relationship. So ask yourself, what is my purpose? Who am I wanting to be? And what steps am I taking today in order to grow myself there? Now, this is always with the back of the mind, keeping the space for the relationship there. It doesn't mean that you're giving up on the relationship, but it's making sure that you as an individual is still moving forward on the overall mission. And this is still going to be part of the mission of the relationship. So yes, there's the hitting the gym and advancing your career and all that sort of stuff, but making sure that you're also working on the things that are important to you as well. And this is really powerful because this flips the script. So instead of waiting to see if your partner is going to come back, or waiting and worrying and just clock watching and saying, okay, when is this month over, or whenever it is, you're actually taking action and you're moving forward in your personal mission. This is where you become a person who has options and a direction, and it means you're continuing your growth whilst respecting her space for the overall mission. There are lots of ways to change and to grow, but if you're wanting to grow in a direction that builds that overall mission whilst becoming the partner that you want to be in order to repair the relationship, then there are some things that are effective and some things that are ineffective. I've done a deeper dive video on this, which I'll link to on the screen. Like I said, a lot of people hit the gym and do all that sort of stuff. That is a very small percentage as to what actually impacts relationship repair. So like I said, I'm not going to get into it here, but I'll leave you with that deeper dive video on what changes actually repair a relationship, and I'll see you over there.